Hi everybody, thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive. Greetings dear ones, I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. My partner, he steps aside. And so the information that is given from this point forward is not his. But he lets it flow. And as he does in his own way, he verifies that it's still an energy filled with the love of God and light and purity. And that's what I want to talk about, among other things. Perception, consciousness, light, dark. I'm looking at old souls in the room. That is, those who have been through many energies on the planet. And it includes some of you who were shamanic. And in an old energy, there was a demarcation of dark and light that was palatable. The light workers spent as much time fighting evil and the dark as you did generating the light. Even as little as 10 years ago, a healer who approached an individual had to shield themselves from the negativity that the individual carried. You live in the world, and you're human. And you leave this place and you rub shoulders with so many different kinds of consciousnesses and energies. And many of you still are absolutely convinced you must battle the dark side. And I have told you now for 3 years, it's different. And if you're going to line up and battle the dark in the same way you have in the last 20 years, you haven't got it yet. You don't understand yet. You're free of this. And you might say, well, they're still there. I want to tell you, if you are sensing negativity, it's your negativity that you're sensing. Because the light, right now, in this room, is washing it clean. Right now. Listen to me. Light is active. Dark is not. It's passive. That means when you turn on the light in a dark room, the dark is gone. And right now, in this room, even though there may be older negative influences and energies and thoughts, they are buried in light at the moment. At the moment. Lightworker, if you go out and you're a healer, I want you to know that your light is so strong, darkness doesn't have a chance. Not a chance. Wherever you walk, you turn on the light in the dark room. Do you realize darkness does not have an energy of its own? It must have an absence of light to win. I want you to think of that for a moment. And what is happening right now? Through your intent, you've turned on a light. You might be a negative person sitting there. You might not have been an old soul. I want to tell you that the light around you pushes that so far away. Right now is a good time for an awakening. That's what's happening. That's what is different. Light worker, you may have worked a certain way for years and years. You may be proud of the way you work, battling the dark in the way you do. And I am telling you, stop battling the dark and turn on your light. Because that is the only thing that's going to work. That is new. Another question has been asked about cellular evolvement, physicalness of the human body. All of the work that you have done today in this workshop, what does it do? What happens? Where is it going? Will you start feeling it physically? And the answer is, of course. If you're going to change your cellular structure with consciousness, what do you think? You think you'll just walk around the way you always did? Or would there be a shift and a change, literally, physically, in how you feel? And the answer is, of course there will be. As you work on yourselves, the first thing that you're going to feel is peace. Now, I happen to know that there are those in here who are not peaceful. You get up from your chair, you walk out there, you're not peaceful. There's always something you're battling. I know who is here. I know who is here. Listen to me. Aren't you tired of this? Or do you think it's your legacy? Or are you proud of it? It's old. It's not necessary. This is the new human being, the one who is going to hold the God inside and have a light that is so powerful that wherever they walk, the negativity will run the other way. It's new. Isn't it time to relax, to chase the fears away, and be peaceful in your life? To raise out of the chair and feel a different physical you. And with this comes better health. I want you to listen to me for a moment. There's some of you who wish you could change certain things within your bodies, certain chemistry. You've tried certain things, it doesn't help, doesn't work. Do you know what the catalyst is for everything you've ever wanted? Relax and be peaceful. Did you know that? Because then you give your body a chance to talk to you. For your metabolism to start shifting, for your cells to work in a way that's going to give you better health, catch fewer colds, have better energy, not worry. You walk around straighter because you're more part of the light of the planet. There's no more burden. I know who's here. But I want to tell you the big one. What you are doing with the light, by talking to yourselves, by having these processes, whether it's body talk or tapping or decoding, any kind of processing you are doing that is raising the vibration of your DNA and causing a better efficiency, anything you're doing is changing something that we have never really talked about that much. What happens to that which is your cellular structure as it starts to increase its vibration? And the answer is it vibrates higher. Now, you're not going to get some instrument in some hospital that's going to measure the vibration of your cells. Dear ones, this is metaphoric. At the same time, it's multidimensional. We have said this before. All of you have multidimensionality. You walk around with a multidimensional field, which is called the Merkaba. It's the vehicle you ride in, which is spiritual. It is not to be seen by any science yet. It's multidimensional. There is something we call the vibration of your cellular structure, which is also the percentage of which it is efficient. We have told you you're moving past a third, a 33%, into a 44% efficiency. It's going to change the children. It's going to change how you think, and it's going to do something else. I would like to tell you something. Maybe I've never discussed it this way before. Do you realize that disease is a low vibration? And what do you think it means when you raise your cellular vibration from an old one to a new one? Guess what? The old cannot attack the new. What you're doing is changing a cellular structure and avoiding and literally creating a new human structure that the old diseases cannot get to. Guess what the old diseases look for? Lower vibration, negativity, fear. Where are you? What are you afraid of? And I've just given you the secret for health. If you're going to stay in fear, it's almost like you're opening the door. As you start to ascend, you have heard the word before. You're ascending by making your cellular structure a higher vibration. When you do that, so many of the old things will drop away. Your body is smart, and it wants you to be balanced. Now, questions have been asked. How do I start this? What do I do? Intent. If you give intent verbally, and you mean it, because you cannot trick yourself, if you mean it, there is a process we have discussed before. And this is a process that has no name. Your innate senses your intent and starts to shift your body even before you do. You've seen it for a long time and you don't know what it's called. Have any of you figured out how homeopathy works? I mean the mechanics of it. When you give your body an intent from a small tincture, a chemical which you may ingest that is too small for the body to have any kind of an allopathic reaction, way too small, the body sees the intent of the tincture and begins to heal itself because you just sent it a signal. This is a smart body. That's how it works. And it does work. Now think of doing the same thing with consciousness. You're going to give your body now a tincture of intent. Here is what I want. I am done worrying. I am done being fearful of everything around me. I am done with drama. I am done with gossip. I am done with bad health. And your body sees the reality of the tincture of truth. And it starts to correct itself even before you give affirmations. That's help. You're in a new age, not an old age that just changed a little. You're in a new age. And this age carries with it new processes that actually may be controversial to the old processes. And there will be those who grew up in the new age who will see this and go, it can't be right, and not follow along. Some of them are dying early because of this. They just can't go with it. They see it coming. Some readers have actually stopped reading because the new energy was a little too much for them and they didn't understand the rules. They didn't think they could do it. Some healers have stopped healing. This is how new it is. It's almost like you recalibrated everything you knew about dark and light. And now you're starting again. And light is more powerful. It's not just more powerful. It's winning. The ancients saw it. This is not a Kryon message, dear humanity. The ancients saw it coming. The calendars of the Maya saw it coming. The indigenous of the earth saw it coming, and they called it for what it was, a new consciousness of humanity. We're excited for you. Some will accept it and some will not. That's how new it is. Dear ones, what are you going to do? You sit all day through something like this. Did you believe it? Did you participate? Were you just having fun? Maybe you were just interested. Or is it going to change your life? And I will tell you, the change your life part is not that hard. Do you have the courage to drop what you think you knew and take a look at something new? Do you? Old souls, some of you are stuck. You've been battling this stuff so long that no matter what I say, or no matter what you see, you're going to continue battling. And I want to tell you, the army has changed. The tools have changed. And light is going to win. Going to generate light, or are you going to continue doing it the old way? You going to look for new diets, dear ones, to change your body, or are you going to change your metabolism, which then will give you the new diet? This is a change in everything. You want to have more energy in your life? Stop being afraid. It couldn't be simpler. And yet, it's difficult because some of these things are etched into you in a way that even right now you may be objecting to. In 2013, we told you of the shift. We said it's such a great shift that that year would not even be counted as a year. Only a change, a time of shift, change, and that would affect some of yours health, and it did. It did. Because this is the kind of thing that the body has to readjust to and get ready for. It's profound. It's new. It's real. What are you going to do with it? This is the message of Kryon. It's the reason I came. To show a love and a light to you, to the God source, and make you understand that it's yours. And that you don't have to work for it because it lives in you. All you have to do is uncover it, believe it, and drop the old stuff. Where are you in that plan at the moment? Wherever you are, there's an outstretched hand of God, light, wants to take yours and change everything. That's the promise of a new age. Go from this place not confused, but enlightened, aware, and ready to shift. I am crying in love with humanity. And for good reason. And so it is.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Reaching the end of the day in a workshop is different than other times, for you've gotten to know one another. You've discussed perhaps some of the issues that you have. There's more coherence. That word alone means a connection. And whether it's a connection between those parts of your body, or whether it's a connection between individuals, you can feel it. It's easier if you feel it than if you define it. Coherence is when you start to understand that there's an energy in the room. The energy loves each of you. The connection is complete when you start to visualize the silver strands of love and compassion of creation that go between each of you and make a puzzle complete. There was a day when my partner started to channel, and he was learning. And he saw others channeling. He didn't know which method was correct or what to do. He sat in the chair, and he shut his eyes like he saw many do in meditation. That was the beginning. Not much took place out of the ordinary until he started doing it in front of larger groups. And energy started to develop around the group, not my partner. As the group developed coherence together, the coherence was the connection between them, and that which was the creative source, the source of the connection. And that is when my partner decided to open his eyes. He never did it again. It distracted him. It interrupted the channel. It broke the connection for him because what he saw, he was not prepared for. He saw light going between people. He saw colors around people. He saw the process of coherence, compassion, connection, love, whatever you want to say. It was too much. My partner says he's not a seer. He does not see energy. But while he is channeling, he does. And he would never open his eyes again because the channeling was interrupted. It was stopped. Because what he saw as a human being, he could not conceive of. It did not relate. It did not compute. And for a few moments, there was even fear. What he got to see was divinity between you. I want you to feel what he saw. And in the feeling of this, a little teaching. The difference truly between an older consciousness and a newer consciousness, between a time of darkness and light, between that what was before 2012 and now, that is palatable for some of you. And there's a big difference. And part of it is what you are experiencing in the room. Coherence between individuals is much easier when you drop the barriers and try to feel and see God in each other. Can you sit next to a stranger and know absolutely that you're connected? You're connected because souls are big. They overlap one another. The energy is something that is collective. And you start to feel one another, even though you don't know each other. The difference between the old and the new, dear ones, is that there is far more coherence between you and the central source. And what this means is the old energy has you alone, working your puzzle alone, trying to figure out what you are supposed to do. A new energy in the light starts to give you a sense of coherence with everything around you, the puzzle around you, the people around you, and you get feedback. And in the old energy, you were not even sure. You didn't know. You questioned. You weren't certain. In the new energy, I'll give you a hint. We talk to you. We talk to you in situations. We talk to you in so many ways. And those who are in the old energy and used to the old energy are still perplexed. You don't understand what we're saying. So I want to talk about timing. Each and every one of you in the room listening is part of a grand puzzle between human beings on this earth. Now, light workers, meaning old souls, you have a more complex puzzle than most. For you are awakening and cognizing the fact that there is more light than there was before, and you, of all human beings, know how to use it. You've been working the puzzle of light and dark for eons. The earth has an expanding population. That should tell you, where are the new souls coming from? They're coming from a pool of souls that haven't been here. And so that leaves you, who have, to guide the ones that have not. And you're not going to give them a course. What you're going to give them instead is coherence, love, compassion, understanding. But I want to talk about timing. You're unique. Each one of you, old souls, again, has a complete and separate path. What are you doing with your life right now? If you go around the room, if you sample who's listening, they'll all have a separate story. And so how can we give teaching instructions about how you're supposed to know if you're in the right place at the right time? Especially those of you who have a compelling feeling you're supposed to be doing something. So let's address that compelling feeling. It doesn't matter what the something is, dear ones, because it leads you into balance, or helping others, or helping yourself, or an exposition of the light that you carry. Almost all of you ask the question, whether it's how to discipline your child or whether it's how to write a book. These are the issues that make the difference in life, because you care, because you're asking Spirit, because you're asking other light workers, because you sit in the room or listen to the channel. There are so many projects and puzzles and issues. Let's address the projects. In an old energy, I give you a metaphor. You got a ticket to ride the train. Now that's a metaphor for you being given a push to do something. Now we have said this many times. The push creates a habit. The habit is what you've had from all authority since time has begun. When your father tells you to clean up your room, when does he mean clean up your room? And so the knee-jerk reaction to the push from Spirit to create something or do something, which comes through intuition, the result is do it now. And so you push yourself. That is an old energy aspect, and we have displayed it, expanded on it, and taught it for years. It's time for a new metaphor. You're given the ticket to the train. And then you're put in a box. In an old energy, the box was this: I don't know if the train is here. When is the train coming? The train could be outside waiting for me. I'm going to miss the train. So I'm going to start right now. I'm going to be prepared. That push said I should do something. I've got the information. I know it's right. I got to write the book. I got to go over here. I got to start the healing center. I got to buy the land. I got to talk to this person or something. I've got to connect. That's the train. And you're in the box. You have no idea. And so you push yourself. And the result is you do it completely and totally out of timing. Come out of the box and you realize it didn't work. Then you start blaming yourself. You don't know where the train came and went. You missed the train. Of course, that's human nature. If the train isn't there, you missed it. You never said, well, it hasn't come yet. Now let me expose the new energy. You get the ticket and you're not put in a box because now the track is illuminated. And so you stand with the ticket and you wait for the train. Or do you? If the train is not on the track, that is a perfect signal in the daylight to say it's not ready yet. You're not getting on a train that isn't there. Are you getting this? When the train arrives, you get on it and you begin the project, you finish it, you work on it. If a train isn't on the track, it means it's not time yet. Even if you have scheduled a time for your own project when you think you can or when you should or whether it's convenient or whether it's efficient, it doesn't matter if the train isn't there. So in the new energy, the operative word is see the track, see that it's a signal to you. You're getting feedback. It's not ready. You're not in the box worrying, wondering. You're right outside looking at the track. And if the train isn't there, that means be patient. Schedule another time. Wait a bit. Because it's coming. Look, you got the ticket. The ticket is the intuition you're supposed to do this. But now in this new energy, there is a beautiful thing to say to you that you're out of the box looking at the track. Don't pull the old paradigms into the light that says you don't know, or it's not working, or you're stuck. No, you're not. The train isn't there. Simple. And then you're going to say, well, when is it coming? You know it's coming when the puzzle starts to be complete, when the things around you are moving so it's going to work. You don't want to start something that's going to fall on its face because others aren't ready or because the information is not complete. You don't want to start that. That's old energy things. You've all done that, dear ones, all of you. You've made it happen too soon. You've jumped the gun, as they say, because you're in the box. You didn't know. You got information and acted on it. That's what humans do. But suddenly, an old soul with wisdom will get the intuition and go, I love this information. The train isn't here yet. Dear Spirit, when the timing is right, show me. Dear Spirit, when the train has arrived, make it clear to me. That is when I will perform. That's when I'll act. And that's when everything's going to come to me that should come to me. Instead of me pushing and worrying and saying, why am I stuck? Am I getting through? It's beautiful. The light is here to show when the train is coming. Rearrange your schedule to coordinate with the messages that are being given to you so clearly. Don't interpret the messages incorrectly. See them for what they are. This is new. There is guidance here in the way things are working or not working for you. And if you push and they don't work, stop and wait until the train arrives. There has never been a time like this where the clarity of your movement is being targeted to you in this way. But so many of you listening to this are not understanding it. And now is the opportunity for you to clear the boards, cognize what I am telling you, and accept this marvelous light from Spirit that wants to guide you to the right place, take you out of the box, and make you understand that situations that you encounter are not situations that are accidental. They're giving you a message. Go, stop, wait. Never before has it been so clear. But again, in the old energy, you just thought you were stuck. So I want you to proceed from this point on with this information. Spirit is connected to you by a beautiful silver thread. All of it. This silver thread, this metaphor, can never be broken. Whether you choose to see and use the thread is your free choice. But when you see it and you grab a hold of it, that's when the communication starts. And because it's connected to all of you, that's when you start to get simultaneous messages collectively that pull you together in coherence. To try to make things happen and will happen that haven't happened before on this planet. When the coherence between humanity reaches even a marginal point, there will be peace on earth. For the coherence is the agreement of compassion between all humanity that you will never kill each other again by design. That is wisdom, and that comes from the light, which is going to be yours. I'm going to say this, do not misinterpret it. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You have only begun this process. So you may see things on the planet you don't understand. But know this, that this light which is coming out is going to shake up everything. And the planet is not as it used to be, will not necessarily react as it used to. But you've got to go through these gyrations in order to know what you want and what you don't. And there are not enough yet old souls on board to make it necessarily smooth. So why don't you come on board? If you're hearing this and understand that an awakening to the light is an awakening to a longer life. It's an awakening to less anxiety and more solutions. It's an awakening to the silver thread that connects you with all humanity and the creative source, and always has. Look to the indigenous and the ancients for what they believed, what they know, and how they lived. For they honored their ancestors, which is another way of saying the wisdom that was learned before was applied to them. They honored the earth, which is to say they understood the connection between Gaia and humanity. They breathed the air that Gaia gave them and said thank you. And there was an alliance between them and all things that created something that lasted and lasted and lasted. Let this connection begin again with modern society. Let the light come out so that you will understand the signals from Spirit to go, to come, to be. What if I told you that the ancients actually had those signals? And they saw them in the animals, in the sky, in the stars, and the planet. They planned on them. They believed in them. I'll tell you, the creative source gave them what they asked for. And that's how they guided their lives. You lost it completely. Now it's time not to do what they did in that way, but to trust your intuition, ask for the guidance, know when the train is there. A return to what the ancients practiced and knew that was in general what is available today. I hope some of you leave this room differently than you came. Those listening, perhaps, can breathe a sigh of relief that nothing is wrong in their lives. You've got a beautiful ticket, some of you. And this beautiful ticket, intuition, says you've got this talent. You can put this together. You can do these things. It's going to be so obvious. You meet the right people, the right conditions show up. And you got to smile at that point that says, "Dear Spirit, Hi everybody, I'm Lee Carroll. I am the original channel of Kryon.
As long as I'm Kryon, it's not good service.
And so the energy shifts yet again. In the process of channeling, there is an element of trust. I chose a man to channel who likes to have things prepared in advance. A very linear thinker who would have to de-linearize his mind and understand that the only thing that he knows in advance is that he will not know anything in advance. The words that I speak now are not known to him a moment before they're spoken. And so there is no target message unless I tell him in advance what it will be. Or unless I tell him there will be a repeat of information that is then enhanced. Here's a time where he has no idea what is coming. And that is most of the time. And so what you have in this paradigm, in this example, is a quantum experience in the now, is it not? You walk from place to place, not even having a goal, but being accepting that what you're doing has purpose for the planet, even though you do not see it. I have said this before, dear human being, that your very existence as a light worker is good enough. Without a goal, without a project, is good enough. But there is a process that takes place between you and your energy and that of the crystalline grid that is enough. And that the very aspect of your life being lived one day at a time helps the planet. When you complete yourself with compassion. It is therefore the compassionate attribute of your mind and what you do with it, day by day, which is changing the very future. How will you react to old paradigms, young person? Can you strike a balance between the wisdom of honoring what is there and changing what you can? And those who are conceptual will know this. For it is the linear mind who will go up against a force and expect it to bend. It is the conceptual mind who will go around the force and change it from the back. And so there are ways and means of approaching those that you have never approached because you didn't think you could. There is a way of living where they will approach you. They see the compassion that you have. Those perhaps you have not talked to in years, who have not accepted you for what you believe, will see you differently because you stop telling them anything and listening to them. Compassion. Because they can see you're interested in their life and not interested in converting them. These are the paradigm shifts, dear human being, that you're starting to see on a day-by-day basis. If you can title a series or a channeling, I will do so. This is not going to be an endurance channel. We wish to give you information and energy this day. I would like to start a series called The Incredible Human Being. And I'll start it with a simple one. Honoring of history. Not your history, but that of the higher self inside you. A history of the kind that you don't hear much about. And if I could subtitle, it would be How We See You. We've given information how God sees humanity. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how we see you now, right now. If you could see what we see, it would change everything. You'd change your attitude about who you are, who humans are, what you've done and where you're going. We see with eyes that have millennium in them all at once. Will you not see in this time frame like you do, a moment at a time, as you hear this, as you might read this later? We see instead a snapshot of all the lives that you are, of all the things that might have happened that you are, and what you did even before you got here. That's how we see you. We see you as both eternal and a piece of God, the creative energy, and as the human that you are. That's how we see you. And the history that is here is amazing. And although we have said some of these things before, I wish to lay it out yet again. A carpet of honor rolled down the middle aisle for you to appreciate. And I bring you this, the message of the history of humanity differently than you've ever heard it before. You can't start it where you think it started. Humans like you appeared 200,000 years ago, and that's not very long. And you're different than the evolution of the planet. There are those who have seen it, there are those who will see it. The finer the instruments become, the more you'll be aware that there is no missing link, because you are separate and completely different from the other mammals on the earth. No animal, no mammal is like you. Your DNA reeks with a message that it's not from here. And we've told you this before, and we challenge the scientists to see it, find the fusing, the 23 instead of the 24, all of the things that show you something happened. And it is not through normal evolutionary processes. It's counterintuitive to evolutionary processes, and that's where we're going to start. Now, I want to paint a picture for you so that you will understand something very critically. You are the new kid on the block in your galaxy. Right now, as I speak, something is happening. I cannot reveal to you the details of it, for it is not clear even to us, for it is simply unraveling as it will. The energies of potentials are at work right now doing something very special. Before I tell you what it is, even in a language my partner is not understanding yet, let me review those who seeded you We've spoken of the seven sisters, and we've spoken of the Pleiadians. And there'll come a time when humanity will see the potential of this being real instead of mythology or something odd. When they take a look at the biology, and when they get the invention that is coming, it will change everything. We have no clock. We cannot tell you when it's coming, but we will tell you this, that when you are able to manipulate, create, sustain quantum energy on this planet, you'll have the invention that will change humanity forever, and you will mark the beginning of your civilization from that point. For in this quantum energy that you will be able to create technically, you will then be able to tune in on the galaxy, and you'll be able to hear the others. For they are also tuned in to one another in a quantum state. They know who you are, and you will then know who they are. And rather than fear gripping the planet, there will be a release and a relief, and a rewrite, perhaps even, of spiritual systems. And the rewrite will honor God, but in a different way. The rewrite will understand that the mythology of the garden and the talking snake really are representative of a creative energy when it was time, when humans needed it. The reality of light and dark was given to you just in the allegory, but in a different way. That's your history. Those who planted the seeds on this planet of divinity in you did it after their change came 1,000,000 years before yours. Imagine a civilization on this planet 1,000,000 years from now in a graduate status. What would it be like? What would you learn? What could you do? All of these things, it is far beyond your scope of imagination. How can you explain something you don't know? How can I talk to George Washington about the internet when he doesn't know about electricity or a computer? One thing leads to another. Inventions build upon themselves in such a way that if you're not familiar with the grounding of where they came from and how they developed, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. Suffice it to say that one thing leads to another, and truth reveals itself, and over generations, humans change. It took 1,000,000 of your Earth years for the Pleiadians to have the ability to seed this planet. 200,000 years ago, they did it. 100,000 before that is when life began on this planet in a significant way. And I'm not going to give you what significant way is that led to you. Now here is what I'm talking about. There is a plan, a process of what we will call galactic evolvement, where certain populations in certain star systems become aware. And the power that is created from that awareness builds upon itself and accelerates until they're able to actually create themselves in a quantum energy, where life itself can be bottled in a quantum energy. Transportation is instant. All of these things, it is a meld between biology and technology that I cannot explain to you. It is not robotic. It is the human being being able to create with help from technology that they create with inside them. Difficult to explain. My partner is not getting the picture. He cannot, any more than George Washington got the internet. So let us just say that it existed. When the Pleiadians were at a state where we knew what they would do, where they knew what they would do, this planet started to change in preparation for them. You might say they passed a marker in their evolvement
Now, here's what I want to tell you, human being. You're passing a marker right now. It has the potential of their marker a long time from now. But things take a long time to evolve on certain kinds of planets, depending upon the sustainability of certain kinds of life. Right now, I would like to tell you what is going on somewhere else in your galaxy. It is the beginning of those you will seed. There'll come a time when you will fill the role that the Pleiadians filled with you. And what we want to tell you, which you may find hard to believe, is that you were there in the Seven Sisters as Pleiadians. And now you're here as humans, and you will also be part of the next phase. It is endless. And you've got the time for it. The plan has that which is energetic and divine sweeps over the galaxy and changes its physics. It changes who it is and what it is. It changes the universe. There is a larger picture at hand. And those that you would call, for instance, those that are not Pleiadian, and you would wonder what their role is in the galaxy, and you've talked to them and you've named them and books are written about them, I want to tell you they are the forerunners of the Pleiadians. They seeded each other. That's how that worked. That's the history of humanity. If you could see what we see. The Akashic record that is inside your DNA is earth-based only. Doesn't go back any further than that. That's an honor of the biology and Gaia. It's an honor of the cave of creation. No matter how good your past life reader is, she's not going to read you as a Pleiadian. He might do something different, he, she, and say so, but it's not there to read. It is not there to read. So the history of humanity is longer than you think. But if you could see what we see, it starts 200,000 years ago. By 100,000 years, you were like you are now. The other kinds of human beings left. There were at least 17 kinds. Just like all the mammals of the planet create variety, and you didn't. Have you ever thought about it? There's only one kind of human being. That is counterintuitive to all of evolution that creates variety. There's only one kind, many colors, but one kind. If you take a look at that, there's an indictment right there that you are not part of Earth evolvement. There is no missing link unless you want to go to the Seven Sisters. And that's where you'll find it. And that's where we started talking to you. Dear ones, we see your history from both sides of the veil. How it is when we talk to you before you come in, what we say energetically, what the feelings are, and what you're about. The incredible human being. In the old energy, how do you think it felt, dear one, to be part of divinity and the plan of knowing everything that I know on the other side of the veil, poised and ready to come in? Knowing full well that when you arrived as a human being, you have lost almost everything, all knowledge of who you are, all knowledge of God. All you knew is that you wanted to go home. All you knew, you find all your life, you search for that, which loves you, if you noticed, all your life. And those come along and invite you into their box, but it doesn't satisfy you. If it's true you're your own ancients, think about the energies and the things you went through. Willingly. Knowing full well, on my side of the veil, that when you arrived, you might not last very long. Lifespan was short. So many of those old souls in the room died on the battlefield. You know that. You had to. Because that's what humanity did. By the hundreds of thousands. How many of you died with plague in the room? Most.
You've gone through the waves of humanity, and every single time you came back and we looked at you and said, "You're doing it again." And you said, "Yeah." What are the potentials of that? Why would you do that? That's the incredible human being. That is the history we see. Because you see the conceptual part of what you're doing as part of a big picture that takes you someplace, and I'll tell you where it takes you. It takes you to now. Where you have, against all odds, created a marker that you're going to pass on your way to creating something that no one has predicted, except those on the other side of the veil who see the energy I see. There is celebration on my side of the veil as you push toward this marker. Humans have free choice. You can change it on a dime. But the potentials are exactly the ones I saw 20 years ago when I said hello to my partner. And I said, consciousness is shifting. Weather is shifting. You're not going to be the same as you were yesterday. There is no returning to normal. Because normal is old. Normal is old. Your country is in a state right now when you're begging to have this over with, are you not? To have the economy you used to have. And for those of you who sit and listen and read who are Americans, you long for the time before the economy went into the dumper, as you would say. How would you feel if I told you there is no going back? Instead, there is a reworking and a recalibration of normal. And it will pull itself out after some other things happen that you don't expect. You've got to recalibrate the system, the very systemic things that you think are the base points of what makes you who you are as an economy, as a country, are going to change. And that's good news. For it's going to change to the better. There's going to be more transparency. And you knew this. I want to tell you the last thing that on the other side of the veil, I saw. Oh, dear ones, how do I explain this? I have said this before so many times. Your history, you know what we see as your history? I'm going to put it into two places here. I've done this before. I want to put it into two parts. Number one, I want to talk to the seniors, and the second, I want to talk to the young people. The seniors in the room, when you came into this planet, this lifetime, and said goodbye to us, it hadn't changed any. You were heading for a decision point that had you burned alive by nuclear war. And the prophets told you, and your scriptures told you, and it was written in many places, even the ancients gave you the potential. This would be it. It's over. You failed. You had the weaponry, you had the attitude, and it was on its way, and you came in. That's the history we see. Why would you do that? I've given you this information before, but perhaps not in this succinct way. Why would you do that? And I'll tell you that because there was a potential that down the line, thousands of lifetimes of raising your consciousness would eventually pay off today. And it has. And it's only been 25 years that you turned it around. And now you're sitting on something that even you did not expect, senior. You've got the potential for extended life. You've got the potential for peace on the planet, for turning things around in a way that your parents said you couldn't. Why'd you come here when you thought you were going to die? And I'll tell you, that is because on the other side of the veil you have the mind of God. My mind. You see the concepts, you see the potentials, you see those around you you don't even know exist. You see the cheering section you don't know exists. You feel the energy of love that even some of you in the room don't know exists. Right now I want to invite the entourage in, even before it's time to close, to sit in the aisles and stand there as I make pronouncements and I say, you have no idea how honored you are. You're going to do it. That's the potential. It's never changed, senior. Now, to the young person. You come in an energy that is brand new. It was not expected. When I said goodbye to you as an old soul from my side of the veil to this one, I said, as odd as it might seem, you're the one that's going to have to do the hardest work. Paradigm shift comes with a price. And I said yesterday in a private channeling a word, and we're going to give it to you now. And you're going to remember it because it's funny. And it's going to be the paradigm that you're going to have to live with and work with it, and we're going to call it suck. Slow, uncomfortable change. Slow, uncomfortable change. And that's because there is no total, complete collapse and failure in sight. Now that can change. That's how we see you. So the young person in the room is going to have to deal with something that the senior did not. 1 foot in the old energy, 1 foot in the new, straddling it with wisdom and patience. And by the way, senior, that's not what you did in the 60s. You blasted forth. Didn't do any good. It's different today. How do we see you? The incredible human being, the history that is here, 200,000 years, that's nothing. Don't you find it odd? We've seen this before. Why don't you find it odd that the Earth is as old as the galaxy is, it's all the same age, that it took this long for humans to appear? You might see as a giant hand holding everything back. The actual start of microbial life started 5 times before they got it right. Millions and millions of years. While other worlds had their civilizations, you were looking at amoebas trying to get it right. Photosynthesis occurred, last minute, saved the day. You start looking at the biology of the planet and the history of the planet. It doesn't really make sense that you'd be last minute with an Earth this old. To have humanity happen only at the last possible moment is counterintuitive. It's part of a plan. I'll say it again, there's someone else, somewhere else, starting right now. Because you passed the marker. It's the same scenario, and they'll be the new kid on the block next. And yes, I'll sit in front of them. If and when they change the consciousness of their world, like you have. How do I see you? All of these times that you've come in, it's such an honor to sit with family. Your parents knew of this day. Did you know that? On my side of the veil, they looked at the potentials and they saw that they could be. They were not the strongest, but they could be. They came into the planet, we've said this before, knowing that they would probably meet one another. The synchronicity would create the seed, which is you. That some of them would give you a bad time. Some of them would die early. They wouldn't be very enlightened.
and that you'd pass the torch. How does that make you feel? I'm looking at it right now because I see the potential of the unborn. I see your potential next time. I've told some of you what you're going to do. That's the history. I want to give you the big picture, and I just did. That's what we see. That's what we see. An incredible human being. A history that is not the reality that you see, but the reality we see is a family member who has changed the very fabric of the galaxy through eons of time. What some of you would call sacrifice. There is a system here that you don't know about and you don't understand and you wouldn't agree with. There's 200,000 human beings that we faced off with, almost 300,000 human beings, before they came in, and we told them this: you're going to come in and there's going to be a purpose you're going to achieve, and it's not going to be pleasant, but it's going to change the planet forever. And some of you are going to be kids. And when the earthquake happens and the waters come in, you're going to drown. The world will turn its eyes upon you, and there'll be a compassionate wave that'll change the crystalline grid forever and push this planet even closer toward that, which is what we call peace on earth. And you said, I'm going. And they said, I'm going. That's the history we see. That's your history. What I just told you is that some things, but the potentials are known. The cycle that you see of weather before you has created the volcanoes, the earthquakes, the tsunamis, and there is the potential of where you live. You know the rest of the story. Kryon, are you telling me they knew about it in advance? Not as humans. But I'm not talking about human history. I'm talking about humans as we see them on both sides of the veil. That's the incredible human. And they came anyway. And they accomplished what they accomplished, and they did. Faced off with a human being. There's a potential you're going to die in a way that you can never even imagine. So horrible. Falling from the 81st floor. By design, you're going to jump. And they did. Along with a couple of thousand others. And you know what I mean. For the potential of 9/11 was known. Very well known. And it took place on schedule. And there'll be those even here who would not understand this. But I speak to you in metaphysical ways, compassionate ways. That one event put compassion on this planet within moments of its knowing all around the world, and that moved the earth. And the crystalline grid was changed yet again. The outpouring of compassion because of what those scenes showed will never be forgotten and changed everything. And the irony is that it took terrorism to create it. Now that is an old energy, and that is what's going away. What I'm telling you, dear human being, is that the old paradigms, even the dark ones, have come together to create a confluence of positive change on this planet. Sometimes you take 2 steps, sometimes you take 1, sometimes it's 2 forward and 1 back. But at the end of the day, you cross the marker. I give you this information even as advanced as it may be, so that all will hear it and know there is a plan, that you come in willingly. Now, turn the page and we're going to close. Old souls did not come here to die. Old souls need to stay on the planet. The ones in this room need to stay here. Extend the life as much as you can, using what we give you, using the new inventions that are coming your way, not drawing a demarcation line between that which is science and that which is religious or spiritual, and using everything with discernment that'll extend your life. Be circumspect and wise, and know that some of these things that you would call science are directly from the Creator, given to you to save your life. We need your light, and we need you to stay. I speak to the room, I speak to those who would tune in and listen to this, or read these words. The very footsteps on the planet of your wisdom changes all. Slowly and incrementally, you are needed. And when you leave, you'll return. I'll tell you why you're going to return. Because you're going to return with a different instinct of humanity. You're going to return with the knowledge that you've learned this time around, and you will awaken early by yourselves. You will not have to go through what you've gone through this time. Isn't it nice to hear that? It will be instinct that you are a piece of the Creator. This is new, and it's called the evolution of DNA. I've given you much here, some of what I gave before, some of which is new, in a package I wanted you to hear. Why I, as Kryon, and those around me are in love with you. If you could see what we see, you would know exactly why we feel like we do. You can't, and you won't, for it is all hidden from you in certain ways so that free choice will be yours to make, without the influence of second and third and fourth and fifth sight. And that even makes it more special when we look at you and we say, even without what we know, you walk the path. And you trust the path. And you love the unseen. And that is good enough for us. It's working. Do not be dismayed by things that seem to go backwards that might occur. See them in the grander scheme of a longer time frame that marches forward slowly to a marker where you will have peace. It is in the works. How soon? I cannot tell you, for it will develop as it develops and be created through your free choice, but the ball is unstoppable. That's where it's going. And that's what we wanted to tell you. Not filled with information as much as it is filled with gratitude, with love, with purpose. We want you to know when you leave, you're not alone. You can't be. It's impossible. We're there with you the whole time. We wouldn't have it any other way. And so it is.